Now, the world is waiting with bated breath for a plane carrying United States Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi to touch down in Taiwan. Pelosi, arguably one of the least useful or intelligent politicians in the world today, has taken it upon herself to visit the island for a series of relatively trivial meetings. The reunification of Taiwan with mainland China is one of the core ambitions of President Xi Jinping. So Pelosi's visit is seen by Beijing as both symbolic and provocative. Unlike the war in Ukraine, if Pelosi's visit sparks an all-out conflict, it will directly and dramatically affect us here in Australia. China has already started courting closer ties with Solomon Islands, a mere 2,000 kilometres off Queensland, as a strategic base. It's done this for good reason. The Solomon Islands are home to Guadalcanal, the island the Japanese took during World War II in the hope of isolating Australia from its much bigger ally, the United States. China no doubt thinks a similar outcome would be a side benefit of strengthening its presence in the archipelago. Australians are about to be reminded, as if any reminder was necessary, that our very existence relies almost completely on our alliance and friendship with the United States. Ever since Prime Minister Paul Keating told the Asia-Australia Institute in Brisbane in 1994 that, quote, Australia's economic, strategic and political interests now coalesce in the region around us, unquote, it has been fashionable and in many ways lucrative to see ourselves as part of Asia. But the cultural links in our region are not as strong as those extending across the Pacific, or across Asia to Britain for that matter. And if push comes to shove, we might find ourselves more isolated than ever. That's the alarming news, but there is actually a silver lining here. A war with China would be catastrophic, of course, but there are also reasons to not be so intimidated by China's bullying. Firstly, it's clear that our impression of the formidability of China is somewhat exaggerated. That's not to say that the Chinese Communist Party isn't building a massive military. It is. But we should take some of it with a pinch of salt. Whenever you see reports about Chinese militarism or the glorious leadership of President Xi Jinping, it's always accompanied by the same footage. You know the stuff. Massive aircraft carriers sailing in formation through the South China Sea, robotic Chinese soldiers marching in precise formation, their faces hardened against an imaginary foe, huge missiles being paraded before a phalanx of generals, and, of course, President Xi riding around in an open-top limousine wearing the expression of a man who is bored with peace and on whose order World War III could begin at any minute. But this footage was supplied by the CCP, and they didn't do it to see if they could beat PewDiePie on YouTube views. It was intended to scare us, and it has.